Welcome to this week's Monday Zen and Zazen class. Today I will talk a little bit more about Suzuki Roshi's Zen mind, beginner's mind, but before I start with my talk, as always, let's sit together for 30 minutes. Okay, thank you for joining. Let me continue with my talk on Zen mind, beginner's mind. And let me share the screen. We are still in the chapter on the posture on page 27, second half. Last time I said a few things about the posture of the hands during Kinhin. In my tradition, we hold them like this, but what Suzuki Roshi explains here is more the mainstream posture where the thumb is pointing downwards. In the Antaji style, the thumb would be pointing outwards, not downwards, but towards the front. Let me read a little bit further. The most important point is to own your own physical body. If you slump, you will lose yourself. Your mind will be wandering about somewhere else. You will not be in your body. This is not the way. We must exist right here, right now. This is the key point. You must have your own body and mind. Everything should exist in the right place, in the right way. Then there is no problem. If the microphone I use when I speak exists somewhere else, it will not serve its purpose. When we have our body and mind in order, everything else will exist in the right place, in the right way. Dogen Zenji famously says that Zazen means to drop body and mind, dropping off body and mind. It's a famous expression in the Shobogenzo, Shinjin Datsuraku. And some people say that when he heard these words in China, that's when he had his first great realization. And from that point of view, it's a little bit funny that Suzuki Shunryu Roshi here says that you must own your body. We each must have our own body and mind. Isn't it about letting go of this idea, I own my body? Actually, well, my first, I don't know if you can call it a realization, but one thing that kept me coming to the Zen practice over and over again was when I was 16. And I thought I'll try it once and then I'll tell my teacher this is nothing for me. My first realization, the first thing I was surprised with was, until then I had the idea I own this body. I need this body to keep my brain alive. But the relation to your body cannot really be explained in terms of ownership. It's not that you own your body like you would own a car. I would rather say that you are this body. You are this body, but most of the time we think, well, I'm the mind. And the mind returns only now and then to the body. And the point that Suzuki Roshi is trying to make here is, well, exactly this, that return to the body. This is where you belong. The mind needs to return to the body. And he is using the example of the microphone. If the microphone is somewhere in the next room or far away, it doesn't work. And if your mind is far away from your body, you're not your true self, so to speak. You have to return to the body. Let me continue for a little bit. But usually, without being aware of it, we try to change something other than ourselves. We try to order things outside us. Before that, he said, everything should exist in the right place in the right way, then there is no problem. But in daily life, we encounter all kinds of problems, and we try to fix these problems. And I think the point he's making here is when we try to fix a problem, we usually use a search. We search for the cause of the problem somewhere outside. If I have a problem with person A, then I try to fix the problem by changing something with person A rather than adjusting my own posture. Usually, without being aware of it, we try to change something other than ourselves. We try to order things outside us. But it is impossible to organize things if you yourself are not in order. When you do things in the right way, at the right time, everything else will be organized. You are the boss, in quotation marks. When the boss is sleeping, everyone is sleeping. When the boss does something right, everyone will do everything right and at the right time. That is the secret of Buddhism. And when he's using the word boss here, I think he's referring to a saying by Rinzai, the famous old Chinese master, who says, be the master. And I think he's talking about not the master of others, not the boss of others, but your own master. Be the master wherever you go. Be your own master wherever you go. Be the master of your life. It's your life, it's your practice, it's your physical posture. You have to take responsibility for that, and if you don't, nobody will do it for you. I think that's what Suzuki means when he said in the beginning, you have to own your posture. You have to take responsibility for it. It's your posture. Nobody can adjust it but you, and the same is true for your life. It's your life. You have to own it, so to speak. It's your world. Of course, there's many out there, other people, that you could say they share the world with us. But this world is your world. And you have to own your world. You have to be the master in this world. So try always to keep the right posture, not only when you practice Zazen, but in all your activities. Take the right posture when you are driving your car and when you are reading. If you read in a slumped position, you cannot stay awake long. Try. You will discover how important it is to keep the right posture. This is the true teaching. The teaching which is written on paper is not the true teaching. Written teaching is a kind of food for your brain. Of course, it is necessary to take some food for your brain, but it is more important to be yourself by practicing the right way of life. That is why Buddha could not accept the religions existing at his time. He studied many religions, but he was not satisfied with their practices. He could not find the answer in asceticism or in philosophies. He was not interested in some metaphysical existence, but in his own body and mind, here and now. And when he found himself, he found that everything that exists has Buddha nature. That was his enlightenment. Enlightenment is not some good feeling or some particular state of mind. The state of mind that exists when you sit in the right posture is itself enlightenment. If you cannot be satisfied with the state of mind you have in Zazen, it means your mind is still wandering about. Our body and mind should not be wobbling or wandering about. In this posture, there is no need to talk about the right state of mind. You already have it. This is the conclusion of Buddhism. So sitting in the right posture is already enlightenment. When your mind is here in the present moment, and for example, the mind that feels pain during Zazen. Often we imagine that enlightenment is a state where we don't feel pain anymore. But a mind that doesn't feel pain anymore is not the mind that's here and now, in the present moment. So when you feel pain, allow your mind to feel the pain. When there's an itch, feel the itch. It doesn't mean that you have to scratch the itch. You don't have to react to it. You don't have to react to the pain. Just let it be. But the mind that's open to all of that that's happening in this moment. If there's a bird singing outside in this moment, the mind that's hearing the bird, that's enlightened mind. And how does it differ from our ordinary mind? The answer is it doesn't differ at all. So therefore, it's not even necessary to call it enlightened mind. Actually, you don't need the word. And Suzuki Roshi also doesn't use the word so often. Here's one of the few cases in this book where he comes up with the word, because it was so big in the 60s, 70s. Everybody wanted to hear about enlightenment, but enlightenment is nothing but the mind that's back in the here and now, the mind that's with the body, the mind that feels pain, the mind that might even feel bored. The only problem with boredom is that what he's calling wobbling here, you think, well, I need some entertainment. And once I get entertained, I hear some guru say some wise things, and then I get closer to enlightenment. No, the moment you are bored, enlightenment is in the boredom. The moment you feel pain, enlightenment is in the pain. The moment you feel tired, enlightenment is in the tiredness. And the problem only starts when you look for somewhere else. You say, well, that can't be true. That cannot be true. Enlightenment must be outside of pain, outside of boredom, outside of tiredness. And you keep searching and searching and searching, and you never get back to the here and now, unless you accept pain when you are in pain, tiredness when you're tired, and boredom when you're bored. Okay, so much from my side for today. The next chapter is going to be about breathing. I'm going to get to that in 2 weeks. But today, if you have questions, things that you would like to share, you're welcome to do so now. Any questions? Anything you would like to share? Nothing? There's a chat. Let me read the chat. I'm working tirelessly on being mindful and fully present at every moment of my life, not only during Zazen, but while doing any task throughout the day. Is this something worth striving for according to Zen? And if someone were ever able to fully mindful and present, to be fully mindful and present at every moment of their life, what would be left to work for? A part of continuing chopping wood and washing dishes. So the question is this something? And something means being mindful in every minute, every second of your life. Is this something worth striving for according to Zen? So first of all, I cannot talk for all of Zen. There's many Zen teachers out there and they all have different opinions. And I'm one of those who are a little bit critical of mindfulness. It can turn into an obsession. Actually, almost 20 years ago or so, I wrote an article with the title "Stop Being Mindful." I think there's also a video somewhere on my on my YouTube channel, which is pretty popular because this proposition that you should stop being mindful is so unusual. Also in Zen, most people say that mindfulness is a good thing. And of course, it's a good thing that when you drink your tea, you actually taste the tea. Or what Suzuki Roshi said here, when you sit, you're with the sitting. When you feel the pain, you feel the pain. When you hear the bird, you hear the bird. So that's a good thing. When does mindfulness turn problematic? Or why do I say stop being mindful? Because some people in the spiritual scene, and I was one of them, you tell yourself, I must be more mindful. I must be 100% mindful from the moment I get up in the morning, the moment I wake up until when I go to sleep. Most of the time, I'm kind of dreamy. I'm on my smartphone, I'm somewhere else. I need to tell myself to be more mindful. When I cut the carrots in the kitchen, I don't just cut them, but I cut them really mindful, really mindful, really mindful. Is this worth striving for? I would say no, actually, this can turn into a problem because there's always this kind of, sometimes I call him the shepherd, this inner shepherd. So you have all these sheeps, and the sheep stand for thoughts, emotions, things, and you're disorganized. Then there's the shepherd who tries to organize the sheep. During Zazen, that means you tell your thoughts, be quiet now. I'm not supposed to think now. Be quiet. Don't make any noise. And this kind of idea, I need to be mindful, is also the voice of the shepherd. You're trying to be more mindful, and you're probably also then judging yourself. How mindful was I today compared to yesterday, compared to last year, compared to guys like Muho? How mindful is he? If he's 90, maybe I'm 65, or maybe I'm only 35. And that's not mindfulness. You're still playing the game. You're turning mindfulness into a game, always judging yourself, always trying to be a little bit more of that. So basically what I say is, when you wash the dishes, don't do it mindful, but wash the dishes. Be with the dishes. Wash the dishes. Or when you do Zazen, don't sit mindfully, just sit. And maybe one step, how do you say, beyond that would be allow Zazen to sit. Don't be the mindful practitioners, but allow Zazen to just sit. Allow the dishes to just do the dishes. Don't be the shepherd that's always judging. How mindful can I do the dishes possibly? And often it's those people that try to be extra mindful that cut their fingers when they cut the carrot, because they're so super, how do you say, obsessed about mindfulness that they don't even realize they're cutting their fingers. So mindfulness is not a bad thing, but even mindfulness, you need to let go. I don't think it's really worth striving for being extra mindful every second of the day. Anything else that you would like to ask or share?
Uh, Maybe I can.
Yes, please,
Um,
Joseph.
I mean, I think it's a question I'm sure we've talked about before in this group, and it's much returned to, but it's that old problem how to stop, on the one hand, being okay with boredom, being okay with pain, and stopping
Mm,
that from tipping over into a kind of apathy where you think
mm,
like, well, none of it matters, so I won't make an effort to improve my life or indeed the world
mm.
outside of myself. As I said, it's a often asked question, but one maybe worth coming back to.
mm, 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 mm. A state of complete apathy would be, well, a state where you don't take responsibility for your life at all. And in a way, you could say that's, well, just accepting things as they are. You totally radically accept everything that's out there that's happening to you, and you practice non-doing or wu wei, as the Chinese would say. But of course, that's not what wu wei is meant, and that's not what I say that you should accept. For example, the pain, tiredness, boredom, because in that realm of what you accept is also this impulse that you have. I want to do something about my life. If I don't take responsibility for my life, my practice, nobody's going to do. And probably nobody of you would have joined this meeting if this impulse wouldn't be there. If you wouldn't have this impulse, I want to get on the cushion. This is changing me. This helps me to change my life. If there wouldn't be this impulse in some kind of form, you wouldn't be here right now. You would have stayed in bed or whatever, watched movies on Netflix. The fact that you don't, the fact that you're here right now proves that already you're taking responsibility. So accepting things as they are doesn't mean that you accept everything except that impulse to change things. But you accept everything, including the impulse to change things. But of course, you also have to accept that you can't change everything according to your ideas. But you want to change at least certain things. And you can start, for example, with your posture, as Suzuki said today. And there's a lot of other things. Like who was it? Jordan Peterson that said, clean your room, clean your room. Those are simple things that you can change. And Buddhism doesn't teach that if you think you should clean your room, let go of that thought and just let things as they are. No, if you have the impulse to clean up your room, do it. Accept that impulse. But if the impulses, of course, is you have a conflict with person A and your impulse is I need to change person A, you have to also realize it doesn't work that way. Person A wants to change you, and both of you probably first have to start with yourselves. But if you don't even want to start with yourself, I mean, you're lost. But I think we all know that we have to start somewhere. We have to start in our lives with ourselves. Otherwise, as I said, we wouldn't be here. So Zen and Buddhism, they don't teach apathy. When they talk about acceptance or letting go, that also, well, means to accept this impulse. I need to do something about myself. Allow this impulse to manifest itself.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the questions. I don't know if I was able to answer them, but that's, I think, what I usually say. Mm, mm,
No, no, you did. It's like something I've heard you say before about
mm.
true was it true non-duality includes duality or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
True acceptance includes accepting
Mm,
the non-acceptance as well, something like
mm.
that. Yeah.
Any other questions? Anything else you would like to share today?
I have one question. So it's about like the what you read is almost like a kind of a prescription that we get, like don't try to change the other, try to change yourself and like focus on yourself, and then from that the change will come. and we tried to follow, or at least I tried to follow this prescription year after year after year, and then I just fail. I keep failing. I keep failing, and I just want to kick myself in the butt, right?
Mm,
So it's like it never ends. It's so
mm,
simple when you read it and when you understand it with your mind, but then it just keeps going on for years. Like
mm.
you say, 10 years, and then 10 more years, and then 10. Like, what can we do? It's so frustrating for me, at least.
Continue, continue. Continue. And I mean, in the old days, the Buddhists said, probably you know this metaphor of this big granite block, and it's 10 kilometers wide and long and high, and there's an angel that comes every 100 years and wipes over it. And how many years does it take for the granite block to completely disappear? And they say that's about 1/3 of the time it takes to become a Buddha. So even the old Buddhists, they kind of felt it's taking forever. This is taking me forever. But you have to continue, like this angel that comes down every 100 years. If the angel would completely disappear, then the granite block will never disappear. And even if it takes your whole life, and at the end of your life, you're still not a Buddha, at least, at least you did a little bit. You wiped a little bit dust off the granite block. So it takes a long time, maybe forever, but I think it's still worth continuing this practice.
Okay, it's really frustrating.
Yes, yes, yeah, mm,
Thank you.
yes. But I think we all have this experience. And sometimes it's a little bit like how do you say, when you start with the practice, the first weeks, months, years, it seems to change you quite radically. Your life seems to change. Maybe you even have small glimpses of almost enlightenment, whatever. But then, at least from my experience and what I hear from others, after 10 years, the change is not so dramatic anymore. And then if you look back on those fancy experiences you had during the first decade, also, I could have those taking drugs maybe as well. So is it really worth the time? And it's even more frustrating because in the beginning it felt that this is changing me. And then you doubt this change. At least that's my experience, and that seems to be the experience of quite a lot of people, that after 10 years, after 20 years, you start to ask yourself, is this really worth my time? But what else do you want to do? If you prefer watching Netflix, of course, that's an option as well. But that won't change your life either. So I would rather continue. Okay, it's already 9 o'clock. Any more questions? Anything else you would like to share?
I wanted to comment on what Joseph said. I was just a small comment is it what he was saying about apathy, it kind of remind me of what I studied about the philosophy of the Mahayana philosophy on emptiness. Sometimes it seems like it seems a little nihilistic, but
Mm, mm,
I
mm,
think it's not supposed to be nihilistic. It's supposed to
mm,
be, it's not denying that everything
mm,
exists. It's just saying everything's interdependent. And I thought that his question about apathy sounded kind of reminded me of that point.
mm,
So I wanted to share. Thank you.
mm, mm, mm. Yeah, that's 100% true. Mm, like for example, that's also the point of the Heart Sutra, and that's why Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva of compassion, is at the center of the sutra. That's basically teaching everything is empty. Form is emptiness, emptiness is form. But those words come out of the mouth of the Bodhisattva of compassion, and in the end there's this mantra that says, let's go, let's go, let's go further. But of course, the question remains, yeah, but how do these two actually go together? How does compassion or activity or this wish to help others, even before your own problem is solved, how does this come out of emptiness? How does the realization of emptiness help one to vow to save all living beings from suffering, when in theory there's no suffering, because suffering is also empty? But what you say is 100% true. So emptiness doesn't mean nihilism, but total activity, unhindered activity in the moment. Okay, thank you everybody for joining today. Next week, I'm gonna be back and talk about Sawaki Roshi's To You. And in 2 weeks, I'm gonna continue with the section on breathing from the Zen Mind, Beginner's Mind book. So, hope to see you again next week. Have a nice week and bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.